Good afternoon, Nkosi Talk Shows family. Is Nomsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. So, with me today, I'm with the Shireen Love Group and Carol Ann Cooper. How are you, ladies?
Good, thanks.
Really good, thank you. And
Yeah.
you?
Good, thank you. So, the topic today is Sameness Stifles, difference breathes life into love. Love is not meant to be a mirror that simply reflects back what we already know about ourselves. True love is more like a window. It opens us to a wider view of life, growth, and possibility. Many couples fall into trap of thinking that sameness makes for an easy relationship, the same hobbies, the same ways of thinking, the same lifestyle. And while similarities bring comfort and familiarities, too much sameness can quietly stifle passion, creativity, and depth. Carol Ann, I'm interested. Why did you choose this topic?
Yeah, it's something I heard on Saturday. I was at an event with JT Fox,
Mm-hmm.
and something he said in amongst what everything that he was talking about, and he said that the most successful relationships have differences and not people with the same thing in common. Sorry, people. Let's start that again because I've paraphrased it. No successful relationships have differences, not the same thing in common, because two of the same will kill each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote that down and I thought, oh, and I put by the side of it, oh, let's explore that. It's a great Tuesday topic, question mark. So that's where it came from. And I put into chat just for some titles, and this title came up. I was like, yeah, Sameness Stifles, difference breathes life into love.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that would be a great thing to explore, what the thinking is behind that. How can you notice when you're stifling each other, where there is perhaps things to have in common that are useful and actually necessary, and what is it about sameness that can actually stifle? So that's where it all came from. Because there is that belief that if you have things in common, it's better for a relationship. And but actually, it's more about having shared values, maybe a common vision.
Mm.
Um, Whereas other sameness can actually just drain the energy out of a relationship. It can get a bit sort of stifling. There's nothing to spark ideas, but it's how do you manage the differences, and what are the differences that are okay to sort of manage, and how do you do it, and what is the sameness that will actually stifle and kill. Yeah, it's just that I heard that, wrote it down, and went, oh, topic for Tuesday.
It's such an interesting topic, isn't it? It's so weird because I think, it's kind of like that space of stability and instability where we need to navigate having both at the same time and doing it in a state of elegance and excellence, right? Um, and I mean, I always think about the idea, and currently I'm kind of looking at more from theosophical kinds of points of view and looking at things. But I always put the other hat on, which is my neurological hat,
Mhm.
and I really obviously thinking in the sense of we need sameness for stability, right? We need same it from a neurological perspective, nerves that fire together, wire together, and we want that. If we're wanting to learn a new pattern, we want to have programs that sit that way, that move things that way. In the same way that when we form a relationship with someone, we're looking for our other half. So we're creating something that's a sameness to form stability, some sort of sense of safety. And also there's that caveat, right? In order to learn, in order to change, in order to evolve, we need to have the difference. We need to see the separation. And I loved what you said there, Carol Ann, which is it's really about how do we navigate that separation, right? And I believe that I was reading something which is a Gospel of St. Thomas Aquinas. And basically, he was in there. It's, Jesus apparently said, I am in the difference. I'm not in the sameness. Find out how different we are in order to resolve things. Look at the difference and see where the sameness is in the difference. And that was really profound because it started me thinking in a very different way, and started me thinking more about, if God sits in the space where the difference sits, then it's all to do with how we navigate that, how we bring the state of love into that, the state of awareness, the state of consciousness, in order to create to look for the sameness that's within the difference. I just love that. I just love that juxtaposition of having both those things together for me. So yeah, that's really and it's also quite powerful if we think about it that way, because it actually invites us to encourage difference, to encourage change, to encourage things that are not so stable all the time, and it brings that new energy into it. So yeah, it's a whole different way of thinking about it for me. Namsa, what do you think?
I like it when you say, Shireen, that it brings a different energy when there is differences in a relationship. Because sameness is actually boring when, like Kero Ann, you mentioned to share values. I think you have to look at share values, but when it comes to sameness, if I like the same and my spouse like the same, what is there to excite the relationship? So the relationship becomes boring. It becomes it's like there's nothing to talk about if we all do the same thing. So the reason why people have a good relationship is having the differences in relationship. It makes the relationship exciting, and it gives you something to talk about because you go and do the things, and then when you come home, there are things that you can do together, but not everything like you do together. That is boring. Completely boring. I will not date someone that we all like the same thing. But you will be surprised why there's a higher divorce. The mindset of people, when they are looking for love, they're looking for the same thing. You will be surprised, Carol Ann, your topic. If you can actually do some research why people divorce, they divorce because their spouse, there is no difference. They want the sameness. To them, it's important to have the sameness. But when they have the differences in a relationship, they don't realize that is what that is what makes the relationship work. So when you look at people, there's someone who ended their relationship. So I asked why. Said to this person, we haven't got anything in common. I was like, what do you mean anything in common? And then he was like telling me about the interest. That the person likes this, they like this. There are some things that they like together, but there are some things they don't do together. So I was like, you mean everything, the list has to be the same? She was like, yeah, it has to be the same. I was like, oh, okay. So you will be surprised, Carol Ann. If you can create a poll, you'll be surprised how people they actually walk away from relationship because of this. They want the sameness, not the differences.
Wow. Perhaps it's looking at what sameness are they looking for? Because, and again, over time, if it's like hobbies and interests and careers are the same, that changes over time. So what fundamentally underneath is going to keep you together? And that's where if you have at the root your values are the same, but your hobbies, your interests, your careers can be completely different, but you need to have a value of curiosity, a willingness to be curious and interested in your partner. If that's the sameness about you, then that's a great sameness to have. That curiosity and that willingness to understand and know your partner. Because then in the differences that are there, you explore together and you can grow together. And it brings it alive. And I saw a metaphor this morning when I was researching, and it says a fire can't burn if logs stack the same way because they need oxygen. So if your logs are like your partner, they provide the foundation. But oxygen, which is the differences, is what makes flames come alive. So differences are fuel for passion. So it's about reframing it. It's about how you perceive it, how you look at it. And so it's down to a mindset shift, isn't it? So be interesting. There's some education to be had, I think, around this. If you're finding NOMSA that they're all looking for the same, because what are they fearing underneath all of this? What is it that they believe it has to, all these things have to be the same? What's their beliefs? And there's a limiting belief there. And it's that would need addressing before you could even shift a mindset around this.
Yeah, definitely there's some fear sitting there, isn't there? Definitely a fear of something, because it's needing someone to be the same is about how do we control our environment. Remember, the sameness is creating stability.
Yeah.
And if we don't have stability, then it takes us out of our comfort zone, right? It takes us out of our capacity to cope, really, unless we've got resources that sit there. So it does make sense. I can see why someone would say, I need them to be the same. Of course, every individual's got their own experiences, so there's no way in living hell they can be the same. No way they can be the same. So really, it's about for that person to, whoever's counseling them, to spend some time to really look at that sameness. What is it what happens when this person isn't the same as you? What's going on for you inside? What's triggering you in that moment in time? I would. I was, while you were all talking, I was thinking about how anyone who's had a baby, I'm damn sure, how long can you keep their attention? Not very long before they habituate. And habituate just means they now say, I've got that, I'm bored, I need to move forward, right? That's what babies do. And that's what young toddlers do. Everyone that's had a child definitely would experience a toddler. And I want the difference here. What's that? But one of the things is really this fundamental thing is that we are designed to change, but our body prefers to stay the same, which are limits of beliefs, right? But inherently, we get bored. So even if people are in sameness, I would really want to question, do they ever get bored in life? Right? What happens when they get bored, right? What's happening that's stopping them from taking that next step? So those are the things that I would be definitely questions that I'd want to ask myself if that was it. And of course, it's nice to also be comfortable and not necessarily do anything, but it's recognizing there's a time for that and there's a time for something else. We have to move. We have to be in flow. And we can't stay the same because we don't. We change every day. Every moment is different from the last. So it's going to be completely different. So that's what I was thinking when it came to the idea, where does this fit into normal situations? And I think that it may be that if someone is looking for sameness, as you said, Carol Ann, I think it would be really important to look at what is the sameness. right, that they're seeking.
Mm.
What is
Yeah.
that sameness? And is there some leeway?
Mm.
And what do they mean by it, really?
Yeah.
What do they mean by sameness? So it's an interesting thing that you've said, Nomsa. Wouldn't have thought about it necessarily, that they would be. So obviously the relationships to labor, to moving, that they're craving stability, they're craving the sameness because they don't feel safe on some level.
Yeah, I think
Mm.
when you are a coach, you're blessed because you see things in a different point of view of life. But some people, when they're stuck in that moment of what everybody is doing, so to them, love is what their friends have.
Mm,
Love is what they go when they go for coffee, is what they talk about. So
mm,
to them, uh, they cannot put themselves as an individual and make a decision as individuality. So
mm,
whatever the decision is, that if I wasn't a coach, if I had friends, when I go out, I listen to my friends, I become them. To me, the love will look like that. The way they see love, for me, I will see that love that way, and I want my spouse to behave that way. And I think that's why too many relationships don't work out, because they define love in how their friends see love, or
mm,
how their
mm,
families, to them, love is like that. But love has to, like you say, Shireen, that when you have a child, a baby, how long can you entertain that child? Because they get bored. It's like Kayla, she's 10, and she goes to her bedroom now, and then she goes, I want some peace and quiet. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, she goes, Mommy, I want some me time. And then she go and just lie there, and yeah, and just be quiet, and just maybe sometimes listening to music.
Mm.
So it shows if children want things that are different, so
yeah.
an adult is the same as well. They are gonna want things that are different. So, and also, Carol Ann, you said when you have differences in your relationship, it gives the opportunity of curiosity. It gives you the opportunity where you can explore things together. And also, you mentioned that what beliefs that are actually driving that force for that person needing the same thing. There must be something, a belief or fear that that person
Mm.
fears. And also, both of you mentioned that we change, we evolve all the time.
Mm,
Like I was talking to Pastor Henry, we had a meeting last week, and he said, Nomsa, when I left you were not like this. It looks like you're changing, your confidence is changing. And I was like, because you guys are teaching me how to grow. So when whatever you teach online, so I put that into practice. So I am growing. So I was like, he was laughing. And so I think we change all the time. We don't stay the same.
mm,
So, so in a relationship, we got to be aware of that. And for me, I think I'll be curious to actually date someone who just likes different things. My curiosity will be like, what's for the next weekend, honey?
mm,
What are you doing next weekend? Yeah, so I think Carol Annie, your topic is actually, if you do some research, you'll find that, or ask clients, or sometimes I ask people myself. Me, I ask questions. I sit there on Zoom and ask someone. Someone says, "No, sir, I have a degree as a doctor. I'm looking for a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm looking for another lawyer.
mm,
I am this. I'm looking for this." I'm sitting there. I'm like, you mean I have to find you a lawyer? I have to find you someone who likes this, and I'm looking for the list. I'm like, this list is boring. Then I have to send that person. I have to zip my mouth and send them for coaching and say, okay, after the coaching, we're going to come back again. You're going to tell me what you want me to find for you. And after they've had coaching, the language is completely different because they now are not acting through fear, the roots of the fear. You have to deal with what is actually the roots behind it. Some people, because if you are a doctor, is long hours. Some people, they fear that if they date someone who does not understand that a doctor has to work long hours, the relationship will not work. But it's just all about communicating and having an understanding with that person and understanding their their work schedules and stuff. They work long hours. They don't see a difference with that.
So that's where it comes down to values and being compassionate and understanding. It's not necessarily being the same as, oh, I'm a doctor, so I'm looking for a doctor because they'll understand. It's going to that reason that you think you need a doctor. And it's great. Obviously, you say that they come back with a different mindset and things have changed after they've had the coaching, because it's about looking at, well, what actually are they looking for? So is it somebody that understands the nature of their work, understands the long hours and will be compassionate? Is somebody can have that same level of conversation, is intellectually stimulating. Doesn't need to be a doctor, the same doctor, you can still have somebody who is intellectually stimulating. So it's actually, again, looking at underneath, what is the driving source? What actually is it that you're looking for? An interest, maybe you both play the piano. That's a beautiful interest. But are you willing to share that, grow together and learn more complicated pieces together? Or are you just happy just to tinker around, you love playing and that's it? It's what's driving you. Is it somebody who has aspirations for more and to grow? Or is it somebody who's happy with the level that they're at? And actually I put down bored. I've always hated that word. I still hate that word because it's like my children never got bored. Because if they were saying, right, I expected them to sort themselves out, to find something to do. And I'd say the same to my grandchildren when they say, oh, I'm bored. I say, no, no, no. Find something to do. What is it that has you say you're bored right now? Go and find, you could be doing this, go and find a jigsaw puzzle. If you've got a book to read, or there's something that you could be doing, or even just sitting and listening to your music. And I love it, Nomsa, when you say that your daughter is wanting that time to herself, because that being able to be with yourself is a huge, huge step forward. That's a huge skill for people to have. And that was something that my ex-husband didn't have. He wasn't always, in the beginning, comfortable with being with himself. And I'd be happy reading a book and he'd be constantly wanting to distract me. But after quite a few years, he started to find books that he enjoyed. The reason he didn't read was because he didn't find an author that he enjoyed.
Yeah.
Once he found some authors that he enjoyed, that was it. He was there. We were sat in bed reading together. It was like, oh, heaven.
Yes.
I was able to have peace. And so there is that things that you can do together, but what's that underlying thing? Because, yeah, to say that word bored, it's just a blanket word. What actually is happening? You're being stifled. There's a stagnation. There's a monotony. Expand your language to describe what actually is going on, because then you can address that.
Yeah.
Whereas when you say you're bored, it's like, bleh. Well, and And
And
how do you deal with that? Because it doesn't say anything to me,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's an excuse for moaning, for groaning, for not doing anything, you know. And when I said to my grandchildren, what are you doing? Nothing. And I said, but you are doing something. No, I'm not. I said, well, you're sitting, you're breathing, you're doing something, you know.
What happened? I got kicked out.
Be aware of what actually is happening and what you're doing. So yeah, that word bored,
Well, it reminds me
I
when I
get
was
rid of it.
younger and if I said bored, my mum would just say, well, tough luck.
Exactly. Find something to do. Yeah, you know,
Yeah, go and do
occupy
something.
yourself.
I'm
Yeah,
not entertaining you.
no. And
I'm
I
not
think
here to
that's
entertain you.
exactly. And I think that's the trap that so many
Parents fall
parents fall
into.
into.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have to entertain their child.
Uh,
And therefore you create adults that need entertaining, and you
yeah.
grow up with that mindset. I have to entertain this person.
Mm.
And no, and that's hard work.
It
You
is
know,
hard work.
constantly thinking, oh, I've got to entertain this person. I've got to be entertaining. It's like, what? No, they can entertain themselves, you
Okay.
know, and so can you. And it's being comfortable with entertaining yourself. And maybe that's a shared thing to
Yeah.
look for in a partner.
Mm.
Someone who is happy to entertain themselves as well as you. You know, you can have the
Mm.
two, but ultimately they are happy to entertain themselves and don't expect you to entertain them. For
Yeah.
me, that would be yes. You know, but
Bliss.
to be included, to have that, well, what would you
Mm.
like to do? That interest in the other person. So it's quite a, you know, a complex thing there. So it's looking at the different nuances. But I think Nancy was saying that they're looking for love, and they see love is what their friends have. But it's like, what do they then perceive love to be?
Mm.
And it's understanding what your perception of love is. Is that what you're looking for? And actually realizing that your version of love might not be the same as someone else's. And that's where the sameness, you're looking for that sameness. You're actually destroying your possibility of finding true love that is your true love,
Mm.
you know. And as we've spoken before about the languages of love, you know, there's that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But what is love for you? And it took me a long while to really understand the differences of love. There was somebody who I felt a real love for this person, but I didn't understand it. And it's like, yes, I love you. But it took me a while to realize that actually it was a love of somebody like a brotherly love, you know? It
Mm.
wasn't a intimate, loving love. And that's when
Mm.
I suddenly went, oh my God, there's different types of love. So
Mm.
what sort of love are you looking for? And how will you know it when you find it? You know?
Yeah.
And that's the exploration to have.
Mm.
And for you to sort of then say, what, this is the sort of love I would like.
Mm.
And really it's researching that and getting to know what sort of love you would like. And if you see it with somebody else, really define it and say, well, does it sit here with me? Go
Mm.
into your heart and say, well, actually, is that what I would like?
Yeah.
You know? So it is researching, exploring, but ultimately loving yourself and being true to what you really
Mm.
want. What's your heart's desire?
Yeah.
Because what I'm hearing is that, you
Mm.
know, what you're
Yeah.
saying, Nonce, a lot of them are denying themselves
Mm.
what their heart truly wants. It's up there, up in their heads,
Mm. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, the words that are coming into my sort of mind mulling around at the minute
Mm,
while you're talking is really unconditional regard for
mm.
oneself.
Yeah.
So just unconditionally regarding for oneself. And I think what often happens, depending on how we've grown up or been brought, is we don't often learn that as our rock, right? We don't develop that as our rock. So we don't think about ourselves, which is why I said, no, so your daughter saying, I want some me time is one of the best gifts we can give our children. You can have your me time.
Yes.
Feel confident enough to be able to say, I want my me time. And that she feels safe enough that you will give her that me time. So it's really relying on a whole system sitting there supporting that me time, right? That unconditional regard for her as a human being, that she's and the unconditional regard that they will have differences because that's who they are, right? And how do we love them in the difference? And I think, we look at what the values, and I love that you said, Carol Ann, which was, you talked about the values. We can still have the same values and still be different.
Yeah.
Can't we? We can still believe in honesty and we can still believe in all of those things. And it really, I mean, one of the things that I really is being really aware of, when people have different levels of honesty, believe it or not. Some people are really so honest, it's unbelievable. And other people are degrees like, hey, what do you put on your tax bill? Right? One of the biggest things people think they're predominantly honest, and how many times do they do a bit of tax avoidance? These kinds of things. So it's very interesting. So it's about being aware. Even when you're asking people, are you honest? Okay, give me some examples. What's honest for you? Because what's honest for you may not be completely honest for me, right?
Right.
And that may be important to know, right? In the sameness, right? Are we really the
Yeah.
same, or are we very fundamentally different, even though it's on one little value that we haven't really thought about? So that curiosity of looking and exploring and developing that unconditional love for oneself and the unconditional love for learning and exploring is so I think so important, so very important in learning how to then do the shifts that we require. So if we do that, if we spend time exploring, we're using our heart and then we're using our mind, we're bringing our heart and our mind together in order to find something new, right? In order to uncover what's probably already there. But we now see it in a new light because we've looked at it from a whole new perspective. So yeah, I think in the essence and part of the aspect of really understanding is that in differences, there's always going to be the sameness somewhere. If we can look for the sameness, we can negotiate. We can find ways. I mean, we've got wars going on right now. We're not looking at what's the same in all of us. We're not looking that underneath. We all have genetics that are pretty much the same. We all have red blood. We all need oxygen. We all need water. We know that's the same, no matter what. Why are we killing each other? Right? We're not different. If we take the skin away, we're not different. We're the same. It just seems so ludicrous. So it's really, we must look to seek to find the sameness in the difference. And then that sameness is moving. It's not still, it's not stifling, because now we're actively doing that forward movement into something. When we look at our regulated systems, when we're safe, we're likely to move forward. When we're unsafe, we are more likely to be stifled. So that's kind of a really, it's sort of a bit of a turn and a paradox on that, where we talk about sameness as stifling. But it's really interesting to sit in that idea of how, and I can't remember what I just said actually. Sorry, I'm trying to repeat what I just said and I've forgotten it already. The cycle. But I was going from sameness to different, from difference to sameness, looking for that, getting excited in that. But that there is movement then, right?
Yeah.
And if we've regulated ourselves, what we find that is when we are regulated, we become forward moving, right? So when we become excited, we become forward moving. And so in that difference, we become forward moving because we're actually looking for the sameness, but not realizing that we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're looking for the same values. We're looking for the same beliefs. We're looking for the same. Yeah.
And I like the way you said there's movement in that, because it's
Mm.
movement as opposed to stagnation.
Yeah.
Because stagnation is where there's no oxygen and it stifles and it kills.
Yeah.
But you've got
Exactly.
movement, bring, oxygenates, doesn't it?
Mm.
And it yeah.
I think when it comes to relationship, you have to happiness comes from within. You have to create your own happiness.
Mm.
You have to
Definitely.
create your own love. Love is to share with the other person. As long that person respects you, there is no abuse or anything. And I think people should just understand that the relationship needs to have differences. And that's why when they don't have dreams, when you don't have dreams, like your dream is like, I'm gonna go to school, gonna get a big house, and I'm gonna get married and I'm gonna have children. And then your husband becomes your dream, your vision, and your wife, it becomes your vision, and then there's nothing there to do. So it means everything that Carol Anish is doing, I'm just watching every step because I have nothing to do. So everything Carol Anish, if she's not doing things right because she has become my vision, I'm just gonna be recording. I'm not longer having fun anymore because we don't have differences. So I'm doing what Carol Ann is doing. So that gets the relationship boring, but not because of someone else's fault. It is because you're doing the same thing together, and there is nothing to get a relationship exciting. And relationship has to have its differences. It has to, love comes from within. Like myself, since I've been doing my cleansing, I'm realizing that how I was before, I was in the dark. I was in that cloud that I did not realize. But now I am actually aware and I'm alert, and I can simply explain what do I think love is. But I can define it in my own way. What I feel that love is not how my friends, not the way my friends they see love. Or like Carol Ann, you said, when when people see other people's relationship, and that can affect them because it means that they don't know how to define love. It's like if I see my friends, they're going on a holiday, they're posting on Instagram. I want my husband to do the same. Why are we not posting on Instagram? Why are we not going on a holiday? Then the relationship it becomes a comparison, no individuality. It hasn't got its own identity anymore. So I think for the relationship to be able to work, you have to understand your individuality. Like as couples, when you go and see, that's why I've basically done the cleanup on my phone. I don't hang out with people that compare themselves with me. I'm just individual. I don't want anyone comparing their life with my life because what I have to do to create this NOMSA, I think it takes 3 hours a day. So I wouldn't want somebody to torture themselves and comparing their lives with me. That is a torture. So I don't know how you guys see, but for me, relationship got to have some fun. If it
Mm.
hasn't got some fun, freedom, then it wouldn't work. It means it's in prison.
Mm. You're right. I mean, comparing, there's a beautiful phrase that says compare to despair. And my ex-husband often used to compare us with others and say, well, look, how do they afford to go on those holidays? How do they afford that? And, and I go, I don't know. I don't know how they manage their money, what their money is coming in, whether they have more than us or not. You don't know. So why compare? So there's that, you're making yourself wrong. You're making yourself unhappy by comparing and expecting your life to be the same as someone else. So yeah, you're right, Nom. So somebody sort of comparing themselves to you and trying to be the same, they're in for a big downfall. What if you're wanting to be like someone else? It's looking at their values, their virtues, and actually what they are doing to be successful or to get it's not what they've got that you should be looking at. It's looking at their attitude, their work ethic, or their, how they're looking after themselves and things like that, all the values that they have. And that's where you need to compare. Well, are you loving yourself? Because clearly Nomsa's loving herself. She's doing this and she's getting success because she values what she's getting, Do you value yourself in that same way? So it's again, it's exploring and being curious and looking at yourself. So certainly compare to despair. Never compare yourself to somebody else. And I love what you said about create your own happiness and love. You cannot create from someone else. No one else can create happiness for you. So you create your own happiness. You are in control of your life. You are the creator of your life, not somebody else. So deal with it. Get creative. If it isn't making you happy, if you're not happy, if you're not finding the love that you want, do something different. Look at what you're doing the same that's giving you the same result. Do something different. And this is where looking at somebody who has differences to you, because maybe you've been looking for a certain person and each time you've got that person, it hasn't worked, or you've somehow not found them. Maybe they're not the person for you. So make a shift. There's a few things to look at in terms of where differences can actually build a relationship. Because if you both have got curiosity, you're both curious, then you've got a spark of interest. There's not defensiveness, there's that curiosity. And so, adventure or routine, somebody maybe likes adventure, someone likes routine. It's finding a balance between the two is what will enrich both of your lives. It's not making, each other wrong. Oh God, you like routine. I hate routine. Oh, but you keep liking, something different. You like adventure. I can't stand that. Well, get curious, get interested. If you have those as your top values, then that will help you. You balance things out and you get a way to enrich your life. How could you bring a little bit more adventure into your routine? And how could you perhaps bring a little bit more routine into your adventures? It doesn't have to be a huge amount. It's just that little bit. So it's the yin yang symbol where you've got a little bit of yin in the yang and you've got a little bit of yang in the yin. That's what creates the balance. But there is also a place where certain values are completely incompatible. Because if somebody likes freedom and the other person craves security and stability, that can be quite a tear apart. I'm not sure that there's anywhere to find a balance between those two. Could get curious and go, okay, so maybe, I don't know, never say never. But maybe there is something there there is quite a strong tension and a potential to pull apart. Because if someone likes stability and, you know, security, and someone likes freedom, they can be sort of, whew, it's like clipping the wings. That's, yeah, uncomfortable, uncomfortable. And the same way, someone, you know, wants to be free and is wanting somebody to be more free and not have that security, you're making them unstable. So how does that then affect their mental health if you're bringing instability into the relationship?
Yeah.
You know, so there are contrasts that build and there are contrasts that actually are completely incompatible. So it's knowing the difference. It's, you know, being aware of them.
And I'm also going to put in there,
Go for it.
which I think is great.
Yeah.
I love that, because I'm looking in that, I look in where I thought I was, you know, before I met my partner, I was a rolling stone that gathered no moss. 6 months and I'd break up, right? 6 months, I didn't want to be controlled because that was part of my past history.
Yeah.
Until I met someone who said to me, it's okay. We'll just, you know, if you need to go and stay with your friend for a few months, I'm here. And I said, but that's not what I want. It's just that I'm feeling this feeling. So maybe part of the freedom is really not really that they want to be free. It's just they can't stay still because they're in survival mode, right?
Right.
So it really is that curiosity, what is going on, that somebody is craving freedom, that they can't take time to rest, that they can't see what's also needed in the stability. And, you know, maybe they like this, that, you know, if you think about a cat, that if you look at cats, if they go and poo in the center of the lawn instead of sort of in the wing beds, it's because that cat is scared. And it's because it's looking out for predators so it can run away, right? So it's a kind of a similar thing, recognizing that it could be something else. And if there's no flexibility, no ability to kind of be curious, it is always to do with some survival strategy that's running probably from childhood. And so it is again, like, as you say, you've got to question, oh, right, what is that freedom? What is it that's really going on? Is this a thirst for freedom? Or is this a freedom that's a forced freedom, right? Something that's been driving that I can't stay still, so I need to be free and I can't have any bounds? Or is it, hey, I'm free because I really want to go and do this. I'm really enjoying this. This is what I like. It's a very different space, I think, and it's about being curious. And I think that there's also about, you know, if someone is a kind of like a person that is, you know, having those two worlds collide, which is what I'm hearing. If you need the stability, then you really have to look at what's going on there, right? What's going on there? Because remember, we do need some instability in order to change. You know, our nature, our inherent nature is to change. But in order to allow change to be hardwired, we need stability. So you know, and you know, and I think there's nothing more true and when you look at the brain, right? When you look at the brain and you see pathways changing, and you recognize that if we don't have stable pathways, we're in trouble, right? So we need to have, so it's that delicate balance of noticing these, you know, the stability and the instability. It's that delicate balance of just sitting there, balancing it nicely and being able to move it forward. So that's my takeaway. It's about finding balance within the instability and the stability.
For me, is just people to understand that two similar people may never step. If you date someone who has similar things with you, you may not step beyond what is familiar to them, to both of you. But a relationship with the differences often leads to new places, new cultures, experiences, enriching life together. So it has excitement in it. So if I like dancing. If I was to date someone
Mm.
who likes dancing, who
Mm.
likes music, who likes football, that would be boring. Who likes, what else do I like that is really
I
old?
thought you were a footballer at one time. Didn't you play football when you were younger?
Mm.
I retired in 2009. I
Yeah,
played
but are
football.
you not interested in it still?
I am interested in it.
Ah,
I go and watch. Last week I was writing football thing. Yeah, I'm interested in it. I go and watch football, but I don't have to date someone that I
mm.
can date someone who allows me to be me, but I don't
Yeah.
have to date someone that likes the things like I like to watch a men pretending to be dancing, but they're not really dancing because they can't dance. I like dating that kind of guy, a guy that can dance like me. So I don't mind. A guy that pretends to be singing, they can't sing, but it's funny.
Oh, but you can see it. So when you see someone's got rhythm, they've got rhythm, haven't they? They
Yeah,
just
and that makes it
there is
all
something so gorgeous
exciting.
about it.
Yeah, when they in the moment.
Oh God, I'm riveted when I see someone like that.
That is exciting. That's what we call life. It means we can all have a laugh, can we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Mm.
have a laugh. I hope,
Yeah.
Carol Ann, your topics are they're very, very good, and I hope people are learning from them. And who knows, one day, I think there's some topics we need to select them for boot camp because they are really needed in this world. So I'm gonna go through the videos, maybe select them for boot camp. Anyway, if you're
Mm.
watching us on social media, guys, LinkedIn, please do share our videos, or Facebook, or YouTube, Twitter. Please do share our videos with your family, and go to the website as well if you're looking for love. Finding your own voice. There's a page for finding your own voice and a page for finding love. And you'll find there, and we promise we will not match you with someone who you have similarities that boring. We will not do that. We'll make sure you get coaching and make the right decision yourself. And please, we have two groups. Join those groups and go to talk shows, and you need to billionaire mindset and be part of the family. God bless everyone and live
Mm.
with grace.